Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, so have you ever opened your kitchen pantry, just kind of looked around, and wondered if there are, hidden secrets lurking right there on those shelves? Well, what if I told you that some of those incredibly familiar, comforting packages sitting in your kitchen right this very second actually have a hidden agenda? Yeah, they aren't just there to nourish you. Oh no, the truth goes much, much deeper than that. And today, we're going to unpack exactly what is hiding right inside your own kitchen.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this is where it gets absolutely fascinating. You see, we constantly blame ourselves when we accidentally demolish a whole bag of chips or, I don't know, an entire sleeve of cookies. We think, oh, it's a personal failure, or I just have zero willpower. But the truth? Your cravings are absolutely not about a lack of discipline. Nope. Those hyper-convenient foods are literally scientifically engineered to be irresistible. They are explicitly designed by food manufacturers to make you eat more. Not because your body is actually hungry, but because the food itself has been carefully, meticulously formulated to completely bypass your brain's natural stop signals. Section 1. Defining the suspects. Let's treat this like a real detective story and uncover the specific culprits hiding in plain sight. So, the crucial point is understanding what actually makes a food ultra-processed in the first place. These are products made mostly from refined ingredients and additives rather than actual, whole foods. We're talking about things like heavily synthesized preservatives, artificial flavors, emulsifiers, and super concentrated sweeteners. The real dead giveaway here? These are ingredients you would never, ever find sitting around in a standard home kitchen. Seriously, if you look at an ingredient list and it reads more like a high school chemistry experiment than a recipe, well, you found your suspect. And the usual suspects? They include our everyday favorites. Packaged snacks, instant noodles, sugary breakfast cereals, soft drinks, candy, processed meats, and those ultra-convenient frozen meals. Now look, I know exactly what you're thinking. I love a steaming bowl of instant noodles just as much as the next person. And candy? Come on, that's just a universal joy. They taste incredible, and they are a lifesaver for our crazy, busy, modern lives. But, as we're learning today, this incredible convenience comes with a very specific trade-off that we all need to be acutely aware of. Section 2. The engineering of cravings. Now that we know who the suspects are, we need to uncover the motive behind the crime. Why make these items so incredibly addictive? And this brilliantly illustrates the scientific formula the food industry relies on. Manufacturers carefully balance high amounts of sugar, salt, and fat to create products that are maximally appealing. Honestly, they light up our brains like a pinball machine. But on the flip side, these foods are incredibly low in fiber and protein. And why does that matter? Well, because fiber and protein are the exact nutrients that actually keep you feeling full and satisfied. By stripping those out and amping up the sugar, salt, and fat, the food completely fails to satisfy your real hunger. So it becomes far too easy to just keep reaching for another handful, because your body literally isn't registering that it's had enough. Section 3. Understanding the health risks. Let's shift gears and look at what this brilliant engineering actually does to our bodies over time. So, looking neutrally at the research, a very clear pattern emerges. Diets that are consistently high in ultra-processed foods are associated with higher risks of several major health problems. Specifically, the data shows links to obesity, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. When these highly engineered, super easy to overconsume foods make up a massive chunk of our daily diet, well, these are the health outcomes that tend to follow. It's definitely a sobering list, but it is absolutely vital information for us to have, so we can start making more informed choices. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the nuance. It's incredibly important to understand that these scientific studies show a link, an association. They don't definitively prove that eating a single processed food directly causes a specific disease all on its own. Actually, scratch that. It's more like our health is a giant, complex puzzle. Your overall diet matters, sure, but so does your physical activity, your sleep habits, and yes, your genetics. They all play huge roles in the long run. We aren't just pointing fingers at one single cause here. We're trying to look at the whole picture. Section 4. Can you still eat them? I know all this talk of health risks might cause a little anxiety, but the answer to that question is a reassuring yes. Look, nobody wants to feel like they're doing everything wrong every time they eat a snack. So let me relieve that anxiety right now. You absolutely do not have to banish every single packaged food from your life forever. There's no need for fear-mongering or preaching here. The real secret, and pretty much all nutrition experts agree on this, is simply balance. Instead of demanding some impossible mathematically perfect diet from yourself, the goal is just to make whole foods the strong foundation of your meals. Things like fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts, whole grains. If you have that solid foundation built up, treating highly processed foods as occasional choices works beautifully for most people, without wrecking their health goals. Section 5. Simple Tips for Balance. Let's move to and see how this builds from the science into practical, everyday solutions. We've looked at the hard science, so how do we actually apply this to our busy lives? Well, here's a super simple step-by-step guide. Step 1, read those ingredient lists. Knowledge is power, so know what you're buying. Step 2, whenever you can, choose whole fruits to satisfy that sweet tooth instead of grabbing a candy bar. Step 3, just try to drink water a bit more often than sugary sodas. Step 4, cook simple meals at home when possible, because hey, you control the ingredients that way. And finally, step 5, build those meals around veggies and lean proteins. It's really important to remember that small, consistent changes have a way, way bigger impact than those extreme restrictive diets that we all just end up dropping after a week anyway. Ultimately, ultra-processed foods aren't automatically evil, but eating huge amounts of them every single day probably isn't doing your long-term health any favors. It's really all about empowering yourself to make informed choices. So I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought. Knowing what you know now about how some of these foods are literally engineered in a lab to trick your brain, what will you choose on your next trip to the grocery store? Are you going to read those labels a little closer? Keep all of this in mind the next time you're walking down the snack aisle. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this helps you build a better, more informed balance right in your own kitchen.